Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Harper Stewart. Please feel free to call me Harper. I know most of you, but it's good to be here, and I'm excited to spend more time with you and have some good conversations this week. Like the people who came before me, you can see we have a lot of experience in the room, so I'm excited for all the things that we're going to get to do over the next couple days. So just want to talk through some resources with you. Leo, you can go ahead and advance. I'm going to look up here, but you can look up above. So just a little background about me. So I work for USA Track and Field, and I'm part of the sports science department, but in my role, I work specifically with the jumpers. So long jump, triple jump, high jump, and the pole vaults, and also the multis in the context that you're jumping. So just to give you kind of an idea of how we're trying to structure what we're doing, is we have this remote data capture model, and so you all are all over the country in different places, and essentially what we're trying to do is send that information back to us as the NGB, so then we can process that and start to build out these data points over time. So kind of what was happening historically is that we were getting information maybe at indoor nationals and outdoor nationals, but not really getting a picture of what your training was looking like throughout the year. So these red dots, one of those red dots will represent what we're doing this week, is basically trying to get a sense of what do you look like in January. So then once we get later in the season, we can kind of see how things are progressing. So that's a little bit of background there. We can advance to the next slide. So with this process, kind of the idea is that over time, we should be able to look for trends and figure out what things are working for you, what things might not be working for you, so that hopefully we can help all of you jump further and higher. So that's a little bit there, and we've used this model in the sprints over the past couple years and had a lot of success there, and we're hoping to take that success and also translate that to the jumps. And so the way that this process kind of works is we're trying to partner with you and your coaches to have this data collection pathway. So mentoring you on how to set up video cameras so that your coaches can send us data in practice. We've started this with Coach Travis and Coach Chris over the past year, so that's been really great, and Nick's done a great job of that too, so we've been able to get video on a lot of you coming in. And then from there, we're able to process that information and then put that into dashboards and different reports, so we can give that information back to you and kind of repeat the cycle to try and help just with improving over time. So that's just a little bit of background about our approach. So we have a lot of key performance indicators in the jumps. So kind of what we're able to get from this information is things like velocities, your step and your phase lengths, contact times, flight times, what your body positions look like at different parts of the jumps, and things like takeoff angles. And depending on what your jump is, we have more or less knowledge about what's important. In the long jump, it's pretty dialed in about what those KPIs are going to be that's going to help you jump farther. Triple jump, we're pretty good there too. So just trying to kind of figure out what's going to be specific to you to help you be successful. So that's what we're collecting when we're getting that video, and those are the types of questions and information that we can get when we're collecting that data. We can go ahead to the next one. And yeah, so just want to emphasize that I'm a resource to you. That's my email. Please feel free to email me at any time if you need anything. And so with just kind of to summarize what we can do as USATF in sports science, we'll have video from competition. We're working on building out the processes so we can get video in practice. We're able to do those KPI analyses from the video. And then this week specifically, like we mentioned, we're going to have Coach Boo and Coach Rivelto here to have those conversations with you. And then other additional resources to keep in mind, like Todd was saying, we're looking for that 1% in all of those different areas. So if you need anything in terms of sports medicine, nutrition, psychology, or kind of event management, like say you're trying to figure out what schedule is going to be most ideal for you this season, that's also the types of questions that we want to be able to help you with. Leah's going to get more into dashboards and ranking systems in a little bit, so I will leave that for her to go through. And then just a couple notes. We can go to the next slide. Just wanted to kind of start this conversation with you and get you thinking. I presented this slide at the Pole Vault Summit last week, and it seemed to resonate with a lot of people. So I think a big question that we all have is, how do we get faster? That seems to be something that we're all working on constantly. So with that, Leah, if you want, you can just go through the whole slide, and I'll point to different parts. But so this is just kind of a thought experiment for you to think through. So with velocity, we know that velocity is distance over time. As our example up on top, say we have someone who's able to go 9.5 as their speed over the last 5 meters of their approach. So say they increase from 9.5 to 10 meters per second, we can see that that person got faster, but we want to be thinking about how did they get faster. So the example underneath the blue is we could have the person going that same distance, but in a shorter period of time. And then the example in the orange would be that person covered a longer distance in a shorter period of time. So for you specifically, that would be thinking about how did my increase in speed change my step lengths? So that might be affecting your approach, or it might be a timing issue. So, how is my knee coming through on the board? Kind of those sorts of questions. So just wanted to kind of put this in front of you as a way to think about as you see these improvements, like in the seasons or, a series of seasons, you can kind of be thinking about what is changing. And these are also things that we're going to be able to support you with. And that's why we're getting the video, so we can get into the nitty-gritty of why you might be getting faster. And so for a lot of people, there's going to be differences. You might be a step frequency person, so your legs might be going really fast, or you might be more of a power person where you're getting faster because your steps are longer. So just wanted to kind of put that in front of you to maybe spark some ideas and conversations there. We can go to the next slide. And then, so with those speed adjustments, as you're getting faster, like we said, your timing and your step lengths can change. But one thing we also want to keep in mind is that from a scientific perspective, your nervous system loves consistency. So when you are having those changes, if your speed or your foot position is varying too much, your nervous system doesn't know what to expect. So essentially what's happening is as you're coming into the takeoff, the forces that your body is going to be experiencing during that takeoff are changing, and you might not know what to do. So an example of that would be like when you're in a jump, say you got a lot of pop coming off of that jump, that would be an example of like your nervous system didn't really know what to expect. So these are all kind of things we want you to be like thinking about in practicing, because the more consistent that you can be, your body's going to know what to expect, and then hopefully we can guarantee more steady outcomes and then try to improve those outcomes over time. So just a quick note, some food for thought there. And we can go to the next one. Just a couple more slides here. So from a jumps perspective, we've been doing this in the sprints for a little bit. This is an example report that Tyler's been able to provide. And essentially what's happening here is they've taken a data set from the top sprinters that we've had in the US for a long time. And we have these ranges of, this is what a typical contact time should be, flight times, step rate, step length, those kinds of things. And so where we want to kind of go over the next year is building out data sets that are specific to jumps. So using that as a diagnostic. So if I'm in February, let's see, do my contact times make sense with what elites are typically doing at that time of year? So this jump summit is kind of setting the table for that, and that's where we're trying to shoot and go. So like Todd will kind of have ways to diagnostically check what might be issues or places for you to work on in your particular jumps. So wanted to lay that out as an example there. And the other cool thing is with our testing this week that we're going to do with the 30-meter sprints, we'll be able to get this sprint information for you in post-processing. So you'll be able to get some of that information too, specifically about your sprints. We can go to the next one. Just a couple more things here. Thanks for your time. And then some other ideas that we have for next steps and what we're trying to do with USATF is we want to be developing more training data collection methods. So you all have probably filled out a teamwork survey if you've gotten to this point, but trying to build out specific surveys so we can understand, how many reps are we taking in practice, is our body responding to that type of training, and then being able to correlate that with your performances over time. So this dashboard shows an example of performances. That was an example from Brittany. But yeah, so as we get this information, all of this is going to be going into dashboards that we'll be able to send out to you and your coach. And we're shifting this over into a new system called R, which you can see an example from up above there. So that is all in the works, and we're hoping to have that transitioned over. A lot of the same information that we've been providing to you, but just in a different, easier to access system. And then we can go to the next slide, just to talk a little bit about the testing that we're going to do this week. Coach Boo was able to provide these testing standards that he's collected over the years on elite athletes. So when we're doing things like our 30-meter sprint, standing long jump, standing triple, we'll be able to provide you with some feedback about where you are within those elite standards, and then we can use those to have conversations with the coaches over the next couple days. Next slide. And yeah, so basically my goals for this week are to have lots of conversations with all of you. We want to know what you're working on this season, how can we best help you and your coaches, and how can we use data to help you answer questions that are going to help you do better in your event. We're also going to be collecting testing data, and we'll also have competition data, and that's going to be really cool because the testing data will be so close to the competition. We'll be able to see if there's things that are translating into what you're doing in competition. So that's all for me, I think. Yep, okay. So now I'm going to hand the floor over to Leah, and she's going to show you some very cool dashboarding work that she's been working on with World Athletics data.
All right, hey guys, so my name is Leah Skufos. My job primarily is I do what Harper does, but mostly for our throws athletes. So not really working as closely with you guys, although if you need anything from me, just let me know. But one of the things that I've taken a lot of time to work with and figure out is a lot of the world ranking stuff. And so world rankings, there's a couple different things. I'm sure you guys know that it's important, but especially this year with the Ultimate Championships and just getting tier status, maintaining tier status, I know it's something that should be on your minds. And so with the World Athletics Ultimate Championships, it includes all of the jumps except for the men's triple jump and then also not the multis. So it's a little bit tough for a couple of you guys in here, but they're not throwing any shot put, and I'm kind of mad about that too. So anyway, but I just wanted to talk through a couple different resources that we have here for the world rankings. And if there's any other questions that you guys have, please just let me know. So for the world rankings, for almost all events, it's based on your best 5 performances in the last 12 months. This is with the exception of our multis athletes, it's the best 2 performances in the last 18 months. And so they determine the best performances based on the combination of your results score and your placing score. So what the results score is that's going to be based off of whatever mark you actually jump. So if you high jump 2 meters, that's going to be how many points that is. And then the placing score is going to be based off of what level competition it was and then what place that you get. So if you're jumping at an F level meet and you go ahead and win that, how many points do you get versus if you're going to jump at a Diamond League meet and maybe it doesn't go quite as well and you take 4th place. And so that kind of combination will give you that performance score, and they want to take your best 5 or best 2 of those, average it out, and that's what your rank is. So the result scores, like I said, are going to be based off of all of the scoring tables of athletics, which is that 700, 800 page PDF that I would never recommend dealing with if you can avoid it. And so just every mark is going to be correlated to one, a point score and value right there. So then if you go to the next slide, one thing that World Athletics has done as of January 1st is they have updated the placing scores that you get at different meets. So where it used to be 375 points for winning the Olympics, now it is like 260 for most events. And that's just, they cut down almost all of the events by about 30%. So like because the placing scores are decreasing and then the result scores are staying the same, the placing just matters a little bit less than what it did in the past. You want to go to the next one? So it's down about 30%. And so that changed some of the rankings for some people, but for a lot of people it's kind of like kept similar. Where this has actually really been beneficial for us is going to be with all of our like collegiate athletes. So people who compete in a lot of like college events, they are going to be at all of these like F-level meets, which are now worth slightly less points, but because of the point differential being bigger at the higher end, it helps a lot of our collegiate athletes. Sorry, I caught a nasty bug at Pole Vault Summit. Probably, I want to say that was the long jump. And so one thing that I have built out for you guys is going to be this dashboard for the world rankings. And this was a part of the tier onboarding, but I just kind of wanted to like go through, talk through it in case you skimmed through like I probably would have myself. And so if you go ahead and open that up, Harper, you want to just like swipe across, there's like a gesture. I have it open, yeah. Perfect. Do you want me to pick another event? I can switch out from the women's triple if you want. So, with what we have going on here, there's a couple different aspects to it. So Harper, why don't you you can go ahead and click on Jasmine's name. We got a little blue underline for all of our US athletes. And what this does is it'll pop up with like the 5 different events that you have that are going to be towards your rank. And this is for everyone who's in the top 50 of any different of the world rankings. So for most of you guys, it's going to be 5 events. For some of you guys, it's going to be 2. And this color coding is based on when that mark is going to expire. Because it's the best events that have happened in the last 12 months, this kind of just like is a continually rolling period. So if you competed in January of last year, then this mark will have, like a mark from January of last year will be coming off of your rank soon. So if you wanted to click on, I want to say the lady who is in like 3rd has a mark that's expiring. You want to click on, I don't know how to say her name. So if you see that like highlight right there is going to be a red one, and that's because she competed, I want to say that's January 31st of last year, and so it's starting like next week. That's no longer going to be a part of her rank, so she'll probably move down a couple of points. And then there's also going to be some that are like highlighted green, and that means that mark is going to be good for the rest of the season. Yellow means it'll expire at some point during the season, and red means it's going to be in the next week. There's not a lot of green. I kind of looked through a bunch of them too, Harper. But the other thing that you can do is on the panel right there that's on your left when you're looking at it, there's a couple different drop downs, and you can use that to calculate how many points you're going to get from any certain meet. So there's indoor and outdoor, which really doesn't matter for the jumps, but does more for our running events. And so if you wanted to put in any kind of like mark, place, and event, you're going to have to go through the event underneath there. You can put in, if we're jumping, hey, there we go, what place at a meet, and then what meet level it is. So OW is going to be the top one. That's your Olympics and your World Championships and your Ultimate Games. And then this will also like scroll down all the way A through F. Diamond League Final, yes. So if you were to go ahead and calculate this, it'll tell you how many points you're going to get. This is really high up here. How many points you're going to get from that like mark that you achieve, how many points you get from the place, and that total on there. So you can go ahead and dismiss that. If you need help trying to figure out what events different meets are, there is a button at the bottom that is what's my meet type. And that doesn't feature the entire World Athletics calendar, but it kind of gives you like general ideas. So like DF is your Diamond League Finals, GL is your area outdoor championships, like going to NACAX or something like that. But all of the information for a meet will be on a World Athletics calendar, and it'll tell you if it's A, B, C, D, whatever it happens to be. So you can click out of that. You might have to scroll down. There we go. The last thing that you can do is if you're trying to figure out how is this event going to impact my rank. So if you're like, I just jumped at this meet, rankings update every Wednesday, am I gonna move up, am I gonna move down? The last thing that you can do is, right now we're looking at the triple jump, so you can select any different athlete. You might not want to select the world number 1 if you wanted to pick just anyone down here. you can also calculate if that's going to affect someone's rank at all. And so in this case, it wouldn't, because this, oh, just kidding, it would in this. If this athlete were to compete, that would be tough. So you can go ahead and dismiss that. And so this is something that I like to use if you're going to be comparing, if you're going to say like, hey, I can go to this A-level meet and I think I can win it, versus maybe I've got an invite to this like Diamond League meet, but there's maybe some other people are going to show up, if you wanted to like weigh some of those options for you. And also just come up with whatever hypotheticals you want. Cool. I'm going to get back out of that then. Go back to my slides. Press the green button first up top. There we go. Okay, cool. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about was just like the road to the ultimate, because for all of these fields, it's going to be a field with up to 2 wild cards for being the reigning Olympic champion or the reigning world champion, as well as the next people are going to be based on world rank. And so if you go to this Road to the Ultimate website, it'll tell you like who's got the wild cards and then who's got like the rankings quota. But I wanted to let you know that it's not going to look quite right until you get closer to the end of the season, because this is going to be based off of anything that's happened since September 2nd of 2025, and most people haven't competed 5 times since September of 2025. So while you might have a couple athletes up here that are like sitting in 6th with 874 points, that's not going to be realistic until you get closer. Yes, go for it. I don't know. I would love to know too. They took a lot of the throws out, and I think it's going to be dependent on what they have the facilities for and like the shortened number of days, and then also like, hey, we have a really good men's hammer thrower, so we're going to throw men's hammer. I don't know. What was the question? How they decided what events are at the Ultimate Championships. I know they didn't ask me. Yeah.
It's 3 days of 3-hour made-for-TV windows, and that's what
Yeah. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it did.
Cool. But the world rankings dashboard that I showed you is something that I update every week. So then when we get to next year, when we're trying to qualify for world championships, you can also use that. And so I think the biggest use case for me was when we got to USA's, and it's like, okay, this person just placed 3rd in this event, and are they going to make it based on the rankings? And then you can mess with all of those different things in the calculators. But if you have any questions about anything world rankings, you can let me know. If you have any questions about anything throws related, which you might not, you can also let me know. But I'm here to be a resource for you guys. I don't know who's going next. I think that should be good. Cool. Thank you.
All right, I said 90 minutes, and I said it wouldn't last 45, but I lied. I think we've been in here for an hour. That is what we have for the classroom portion currently. Now it's about what you're able to do out there on the track, obviously. We're coming up on lunch, so I think our first group is at 11:30. We got about 30, 45 minutes or so, and I know you want to eat. So everybody who rode with me, we're going to go and try to scrub up some lunch here really quickly before it's time to hit the track. I know I'm going to get you back to the hotel because you need sleep. You slept in an airport last night. So that is it for our classroom portion. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you who tuned in online, I apologize that you didn't see anything very exciting. However, we're going to go do the exciting stuff off camera now. So thank you for tuning in, and yeah, let's go.